Hey guys, welcome back to the Oilers Fanatic. Today I'm going to continue my look at trade proposals for the Edmonton Oilers with Volume 4. You can find links to Volumes 1 to 3 in the description below. My first trade is a multiplayer deal with the Seattle Kraken, with two members of the Kraken coming to the Oilers. The first player coming to Edmonton, defenseman Carson Soucy. I've heard Soucy's name come up in the rumor mill, and for good reason. Soucy is a solid defenseman and is having a great year so far. In 19 games played, he has 3 goals and 3 assists for 6 points and is also a +6. Soucy is a left shot D-man and would likely slot in behind Darnell Nurse and Duncan Keith on the third pairing. This move would push Slater Cuckoo, Chris Russell, and recent call-up Philip Broberg down the depth chart. Although Soucy is capable of playing the right side. Soucy is signed for this year and next at a cap hit of $2,750,000. The second player coming to Edmonton, right winger Joonas Donskoi. Donskoi is having a down year to this point. In 26 games played, he has yet to score a goal, but has 12 assists on the year and is a +3. So why do the Oilers want a guy that hasn't scored a goal yet this year? Well, before moving to Seattle, Donskoi recorded 17 goals in last year's shortened season and 16 the year before that. I think he's a player that if placed with more offensively gifted players, you'll see his totals increase. Donskoi slots in on the right side, and I think he could play on either the second or third line for the Oilers. Donskoi is signed for this year and next at a cap hit of $3,900,000. Here is the full trade. To Edmonton, Carson Soucy and Joonas Donskoi, with a total cap hit of $6,650,000. To Seattle, Kailer Yamamoto and Tyson Barrie, with a total cap hit of $5,675,000. I'm moving Yamamoto in the deal because Donskoi would be taking his spot in the lineup and his cap money for next year. Yama would probably also love playing close to home in Seattle. Tyson Barrie goes to replace Soucy in Seattle's lineup and helps to alleviate the cap hit. This trade would require the Oilers to make up roughly an additional $1 million in cap space, but the Oilers could find a few ways to move the money around. Here's how the lineup could look with the new additions. A top line of Hyman, McDavid, and Puljujarvi, a second line of Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Leon Draisaitl, and Joonas Donskoi, a third line of Warren Foegele, Ryan McLeod, and Zach Kassian, and a fourth line of Tyler Benson, Derek Ryan, and Kyle Turris. On defense, Nurse and Bouchard in the top pairing, Keith and Ceci in the second pairing, and Philip Broberg and Carson Soucy in the third pairing. Slater Cuckoo and Chris Russell would be the extra defensemen. If this is your first visit to the channel, please consider liking and subscribing if you like what you see, and I will do my absolute best to keep you up to date with all the latest Oilers content. Back to the trades. Next up, Dylan Strome of the Chicago Blackhawks. Strome and the Oilers have been connected for years, with Strome having played with Connor in junior, and Strome's name is basically a fixture in the rumor mill. In 16 games played this year, Strome has 2 goals and 3 assists for 5 points and is a -1. The Oilers obviously wouldn't be bringing in a high-octane scorer. Strome would need to be seen as a reclamation project. He could either play center or left wing for the Oilers. He is set to become a restricted free agent at year's end, and he carries a cap hit of $3 million. Here is my trade. To Edmonton, Dylan Strome. To Chicago, Kyle Turris and Slater Cuckoo, with a total cap hit of $2,575,000. I'm moving Kyle Turris in the deal for cap and roster space, and I'm including Slater Cuckoo in the deal for some extra cap, and I think he's a player the Oilers don't necessarily need anymore. With Philip Broberg and Marcus Niemelainen looking close to NHL ready, and Dmitry Samorukov looking to challenge, the Oilers are pretty set on the left side, and Cuckoo is kind of redundant. Moving Cuckoo only frees up $925,000 for next year, so if the Oilers want to re-sign Strome, they will have to find money elsewhere. But in the present, I'd be more focused on test driving him this year and seeing if you even want to re-sign him. With the addition of Strome, I could see the bottom 6 looking like this. Strome, McLeod, and Foegele playing together on the line, with Benson, Derek Ryan, and Zach Kassian on a fourth line. Warren Foegele can play either side, so he could be flipped over to make this work. You could also flip McLeod and Strome if you want to play Strome at center. Lastly, Semyon Varlamov and Clutterbuck of the New York Islanders. The Islanders are having a disastrous season so far, sitting in last place in the Metro Division. Normally I wouldn't think Varlamov would be available, but in this circumstance, the Islanders might be willing to entertain it. Varlamov is currently posting some of the worst numbers of his career. In 7 games played, he has a goals against average of 3.29 and a save percentage of .884. If you are acquiring him, you are definitely hoping this is a blip and he regains his old form. Here are his numbers for the previous 2 years. In 2019-2020, in 45 games played, he had a goals against average of 2.62 and a save percentage of .914. In 2020-2021, in 36 games played, he had a goals against average of 2.04 and a save percentage of .929. Very respectable numbers, and I think far more indicative of the goalie he actually is, but there's no doubt this trade is a risk. Varlamov also has a 16-team no-trade list. I don't think the Oilers would be on it, but you never know. Varlamov is signed for this year and next at a $5 million cap hit. Clutterbuck would be a 3rd or 4th line player for the Oilers. So far this season, he has 3 goals, no assists, in 22 games. He would be more of an energy and toughness element for the Oilers, replacing a player that goes in my trade. Here's my trade. To Edmonton, Semyon Varlamov and Clutterbuck at a total cap hit of $8,500,000. To New York, Mikko Koskinen and Zach Kassian at a total cap hit of $7,700,000. The Islanders take back a goalie on an expiring contract, but inherit Kassian for an additional 2 more years. It frees up $2.8 million for them next year and gives them a replacement for Clutterbuck in the lineup. For the Oilers, they can see if Varlamov is an upgrade this year and can test drive Clutterbuck for the remainder of the season. If he's not a fit, they can just let him walk. They are taking on an additional $800,000 in caps this year, but that can be maneuvered. Next year will be the tricky part. Moving Kassian's $3.2 million salary helps alleviate some of Varlamov's $5 million cap hit. If Mike Smith ends up on long-term injured reserve, that will free up another $2.2 million and completely cover the cap hit. If Mike Smith doesn't end up on long-term injured reserve, it will be very difficult to make work. I imagine this is a trade that the Oilers would only pursue if they knew Smith wasn't going to be an option. The Oilers would have to re-sign Clutterbuck at a cheap cap hit or find another value signing to replace him. Well, that's all for now, guys. Look for more trade proposals in the future. Let me know your thoughts on the trades in the comment section below. Thanks as always for checking out the channel and for all your support. You've been watching the Oilers Fanatic. Thanks for being a fan. Have a great day, guys.